Well, hello everyone. It's like talk to you about right here is for the handwriting right here is like handwriting by me, and basically is talking about right here is that if most of us can read is like right here is it on a say written on a notebook. It's like today for July the 23rd of 2014 it is, and like hello YouTube. It's like for most of us would think about it's like our homework. It is like if it's say math or if it's science, language arts, or history related. And on the other hand, too, that talking about is like for test today is if we were talking about for test today, or if we were to go to school and they found out homework assignment was due. It's like if they say that due today, and a lot of times you're probably thinking about uh, see about the fact about whenever a homework assignment is due today, then a lot of times we were probably thinking about that. Oh no, like do I have it? Like do I have it? Oh, the teacher's going to get mad at me. But other than that, is talking about with our handwriting. It is that knowing about it that if we were to think about our handwriting, that some people may think about that that they got you say bad handwriting. I'll go ahead and use part pencil and of course part pen here, but it's talking about is like your homework. If we were to of course talk about it's like for what to maybe what we learned at home, it was homework is a study about that subject. And I remember that uh, a while back that my handwriting of course was quite small, and of course go ahead and see about that subject it is, and knowing about it's like for what subject it is talking about like for history project it is. Go ahead and write a little smaller here, history project. If it's American history, or if it's like any other type of say maybe if it's uh, U.S. history, or say any type of other history it is. And of course, with like if most of us are familiar with all the other subjects such as geometry, or say chemistry or biology, and of course there's see biology, there's biology, and then also it's a calculus, and then algebra. It is say algebra A and algebra B. But on your hand, to knowing about it's like if we were to think about our handwriting, if we were be writing a note to somebody, it's saying is like an hello, hello friend. It is, and knowing about with me, it's been a while since I wrote in cursive, but it's talking about it's like if you were to write, it says like for hello for hello it's like that's kind of an example right there of in cursive hello friend. It is like you have right here for hello friend. And knowing about is like it's like talking about it's like between it's like between it's like apostrophes, or if it's periods, or if it's commas, they say quotation, they say underscore. It is. But knowing about with our handwriting, it is compared to like what you call like an actual keyboard right here. If most of us were probably thinking about right here is like we from a pencil. It is from a pencil, and we think about that from a keyboard. It is knowing about it that hey, it's like you look at the keyboard right here, and a lot of us will probably thinking about that. Is this like the next step? It's like talking about with between say the writing tool, and of course I've seen the digital writing tools before, or like a lot of times the delivery people businesses would have them, but you have it where you write your name. You say on a delivery form. It's all digital. It's where they say that it appears in like what you call like an LED screen. It's like if you were to write say your signature on this line or on that line, something like that. As they talk about writing, like not writing on anything, just you say acting like if I were to be, it's like if the piece of paper were to be right here, maybe like an Excel file or anything like that. But anyway, that knowing about it, some people think that maybe that their handwriting, of course, is not that great, and that knowing about with me that, of course, I may say it a number of times, is like whenever I was in school, yada yada yada, that I was told by a few classmates, I'm like, can you write a little bigger? But on the other hand, too, knowing about is like if I were to write, of course, go ahead and write with the pencil here. If I were to write, it's like today's date. It's like the smallest I can do. The smallest I can do. I see here the 23rd, 2014. You're probably thinking about it. Yeah, you think you need a magnifying glass in order to be able to read that. It's like if you can be able to read this, you see the biggest I can do. See, within a few seconds it is. A lot of people probably thinking about it. How much time does it take you to write the day, the date on here? If like for big or small, it is for big or small handwriting. But a lot of times we could probably thinking about that. That whenever we're in school, that if we had to write a paper, then that's a lot of times that's something that we just don't want to do. How come we don't want to do it? Well, maybe the fact about that, it's not your favorite. You would rather work on something else or something like that. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about that, I guess if you're gonna be doing like what you call like something handwritten on a piece of notebook paper, or if it's done on any type of boogie board or any type of little electronic device like that, you're probably thinking about it that you would maybe like to do something you like to do on there. But a lot of people probably think about maybe not all the time, don't really work that way. But all you have to knowing about with people's handwriting, the way I think about it, it's like to go ahead and rotate rotate the camera here, but knowing about with most people probably thinking about with our handwriting it is, and just knowing about that hey, maybe as long as you can read it, then maybe that really if that's what matters. Because knowing about with me that the teachers at my school usually say that they can read my handwriting just fine, but other students will be like, it's small, man. I'm like, you need a magnifying glass in order to be able to read it. It is. But just knowing about with most of us, if somebody says that they don't like their handwriting, or maybe that the fact about that they don't want to do any handwriting, that they don't like writing or whatever, that they may like reading, but they just don't like writing. It is. But on the other hand, too, we could think about is like that there may be a few number of things that maybe we don't want to do, but on the other hand, too, that knowing about maybe the things that we don't want to do, we can maybe go ahead and think about the fact about that, this is what you need to do. In order to be able to do this, you can go ahead and just pick one thing that you would like to do in order to be able to get that something that you don't want to do, completed. It is. And that knowing about, some people may say about, this is your reward. If you turn this assignment in, you'll get a candy bar. And a lot of times people are thinking about, well, I don't know about candy bar. How about a cup of coffee, or maybe maybe a free smartphone? Like oh no, well this is school. This is job duty or your jury duty, whichever it is. It's like talking about like any type of award. We're not talking about maybe a free cruise or anything. We're talking about that you were supposed to do a assignment, a paperwork based on say. It's like you talk about, if it's a history project or if it's a biology project, it is, and you were supposed to turn a paper in. And a lot of times whenever I was in school, it is, that I can think about is that whenever I was in school, that if most of us seen from the pictures, it's like talking about, it's like that half the time I don't know if that handwriting was done by me or say by my parents or whoever there at the school was. But just knowing about with me that I can remember that whenever I was in school, if they want me to write something down, it was that a lot of times it was like that knowing about if I write something down, that hey, that starts with say with big letters, and of course a lot of times they probably thinking about this looks like so much work, this looks like so much work, I don't want to do it. But all you need to know about is like we could probably thinking about that something that maybe that was not my top favorite, of those couple of years ago, more likely I might still go ahead and do it. Just to, it's like to talk about, it's like, this is what I can do, is knowing about between the things that we don't want to do back whenever we were young, and just thinking about the fact about that, yeah, is that I could go ahead and try for, it's like, so far as talking about, is like for the skills for what I learned, of course, from preschool, from the 12th grade it is, and knowing about that there was once upon a time that there was a time to where that I was very limited to what I could do. But on the other hand, too, that knowing about is like, since I can actually, have that skill to where I can read and write, and then of course, maybe not staying on my head, but other type of skills. It is just knowing about the things about our skills. It is talking about, it's like the skills from our handwriting. If you can read and write, then more likely there's a chance you'll be able to get a good job, a job that or any type of anything that more likely you can think about, that so far as talking about what your goals it is. And we could probably think about the things that maybe we can do, that we have, that maybe we may just be ignoring, but on your hand too, to talk about is like, yeah, the things that you can do with your hands, the things you can do with your eyes, and of course, like the things that you can do, like what you call, it's like so far with dancing it is. Other than that, it's talking about with the handwriting. It's like talking about people probably thinking about that, yeah, my handwriting looks ugly, I don't like it. But on the other hand, too, that we could probably thinking about that, yeah, more likely you look at your grade report, and then more likely it's possible that you may think about it, change your mind, because knowing if I come home with an A or B, as long as it's like for I like it like that. But other than that, it's like talking about, like it is like talking about with the handwriting.